Hey guys, Jeff here. Welcome back to my 1974 Forever Home Dream House rebuild project. We're in the backyard. We just finished tearing off the deck, found a bunch of problems with the rim joists, and we're like, let's take the opportunity to install our Hosebibs. We got two different options on the market. One is a traditional frost-free tap, and the other one is the new Aquor product, okay? And so today's video, we're gonna talk about the differences and how to actually install this. And not just install it on new construction. I'm gonna take some time and do an installation on the old existing siding, because a lot of you aren't tearing apart your facade, and if you wanna upgrade to this new design, then you're gonna need to know how to do this correctly so you can protect your house from having water. Remember, the purpose of this technology is to guarantee your house doesn't have a flood from broken hoses, right? Four-season climates are very tricky on Hosebibs. So let's talk about the technology that has been on the market for the last few years and how it operates. Here we go. This is the basic concept. This is a pipe. This is the exterior of the wall. The handle goes on a long, thin rod, and there's a gasket right down here at the very end. Okay, the purpose of the gasket is this is where it shuts off the water, and then between here and here is where your insulation in your wall cavity should be. If you're up here in Ottawa like me, then you need a rim joist with at least an R20. That takes up about 5.5 inches of pipe. Okay, so you want the shut off on the warm side of the wall, and you want to have it installed sloped downward, and when winter time comes, you want to close the handle and open up this little contraption here, which allows air into this chamber so the water can leave, because a lot of times people install them flat or even a little bit off kilter. There's a vacuum in there, so you want to open that air up, and if you do all of that and it's installed on the wrong angle, you're still going to have a burst pipe. So you also want to take a vacuum and suck it out. That's a lot of steps, it's a lot of maintenance, and that's why we're not using this today. The Aquor system is a new evolution in technology because, again, it also has a shutoff valve way at the back. It has a long rod, but the way that this works, this contraption attaches to your garden hose, and then you put it in here, and it's a quarter turn, poof. You see how it comes in and out? All right? That quarter turn is actually opening up the valve. That stem is actually pressure sensitive, okay? Works on a spring technology. So when I turn this in, I'm actually pushing that in and opening up the water to flow. As soon as you take your hose off the outside of the building, there is no more water coming past the shutoff valve. And because of its patented design and the way we install it, it's always installed on the right slope, and it always has air, and it never creates a vacuum chamber. So it's one and done. All you gotta do is go around your house, and at the end of the year, you take your garden hose out, run it through, get all the water out of the line, throw it in storage, and you're already ready for your 4 seasons. So when the water lines are all pressurized and you're done using your hose, you just take this quarter turn and it automatically empties itself of all the water to avoid the risk of having a flood. Now the Hosebib is completely empty of water, guaranteed never to freeze and bust your line. What people don't want to show you is how to install it correctly. So let's go ahead and do that now, so that when you go and buy this product, which is really affordable, you're gonna be able to go and cut a hole in your siding and install it right where the old Hosebib was. You're gonna do this without any problems. We wanna be concerned about two things here. One, we wanna install it with the right angle, right? So that it drains out. The other thing is you wanna do your installation so that you're not damaging your building envelope and allowing a little bit of moisture over time to cause a lot of rot. And since we have our house open, let's take an opportunity to show you what a little bit of moisture over time does to a house. All right, guys, so for full disclosure, this building was built in 1974 before we had building code in Canada. And so they've done a few things that were kind of a little bit sketchy. One of them dealing with the windows and doors in the house. None of them had water protection. So a little bit of water would get in behind the siding, leak down, and it would find the rim joists. Now, rim joists are structural lumber. A little bit of water over time destroys your structural lumber and it turns it into powder. This is why when you're doing something like this and making a change in your system, you want to consider your building technology, and you want to have a process that is going to provide you protection from water finding the hole that we're going to drill in the rim joist, because that's where it goes. You don't want the water to find the pipe and then follow the pipe into the building, okay? That would be horrible, because as soon as you do that, the wood soaks up all that water, and once the wood gets wet, bugs and ants and everything else are going to find that, make home in it, and they actually eat the structure, and that's what happens. Wet wood becomes food. So what we want to do is show you how to put in a Hosebib properly. And if you have an older home, that means they drilled a little hole, like 5/8 of an inch, just enough to get a copper pipe through. So we're going to go and show you how to do this properly so you can avoid all this kind of potential rot down the road. The secret to a great install, all right, is having a block. I know that sounds silly, but this is a 3/4 inch PVC panel. They actually sell this at my local Home Depot. It's 2 feet by 4 feet. And all we do is cut this like as if it's lumber, and we're gonna go with a 5 by 5. All right, here we go. Now I'm kind of a fan, I wanna have the textured look showing on the other side. So I've got the textured underneath, so when you're cutting, the blade cuts clean. And all I gotta do is take my square and mark my lines. It is amazing how much you can do with something as simple as a circular saw when it comes time to doing renovations. All right, now I got 2 perfect 5 by 5 textured solid PVC can't ever rot blocks that I can mount to my wall. That is what we're going to use as our starting point for making our penetration waterproof. Now, if you pay attention over here, this is the sill plate that's on top of my stone wall. This is my rim joist, and it goes approximately there. That height is perfect. If you're not exactly sure where you want to make this location, what you can do is you can drill from the inside where you can see first, and that'll give you your center location, and then you can work from there. But I'm going to just trace out my block now. That's all I need. I'm going to grab my angle grinder. This is a cutoff wheel for metal, works amazing on aluminum. We're going to cut this square out of the way. When you're dealing with old aluminum siding, it's going to come with the cardboard backing. And then behind that, there'll be a waterproofing layer. So we're going to do a little surgery so that we don't disturb the waterproof layer. This is why I love this tool. My little Alpha knife allows me to have great precision dealing with metal. That is why we wear the safety glasses. It's a break-off blade, so no worries. Back to work. Perfect every time. We're going to cut through the cardboard now to expose the waterproof backing, and we want to be somewhat gentle here because the waterproof backing is not a house wrap in this case. House wrap wasn't standard on homes until much, much later in our history, so it is going to be like a tar-soaked cardboard paper like this again. We're just going to keep on cutting until we feel it release. Beautiful. Oh, lovely. Okay, now there's our waterproofing protection area. If we did this right, the block should fit in perfect. There we go. Not bad. Now, one other thing we want to do before we go any further is show you, because we're in the rim joist, right? And we're just going to pick the middle of this block for the install. We have to consider wind-driven rain. In a lot of houses, the rim joist on the house will be low to the bottom. Okay, your foundation comes up about 1.5 feet, and then you have your rim joist, and above it can be windows or doors. And you saw the kind of damage that happens when water gets past your windows and doors. So you consider the reason the house is covered in this tar paper is because water can get in behind. It can blow up through the soffit, through these holes with wind-driven rain. And all that water that comes down that wall, when it hits this block, you want to keep it from going in behind the block. Because if it goes behind the block, it'll find that hole and it'll travel into the house. Makes sense? So what we want to do is grab a little bit of silicone, put a bead on the back of that, then we set it in place, then we secure it. Now, whenever you're working outside using silicone, you want to use the best product that you can find. Bottom line, a lot of exterior sealants don't bond to smooth surfaces, okay? I like to use the GE Supreme Silicone. Works like a charm. Really good against UV, lifetime mold-free, and at the end of the day, guys, you want a product that you can trust to bond to these uneven surfaces and smooth surfaces. And this will bond everything to everything. Now I'm just doing like a horseshoe. Okay, like a gate, up, down, and across. Boom. All right, that's good. Now, to secure this, we're going to throw in 4 nails. You can use screws if you want to, but I love nails. Oh, Jeff, that went from gorgeous to ugly, right? The secret here, you take that white silicone, and it is the same white as the PVC. And you can just fill that little hole, and then no one will ever see it. Now I'm using a galvanized nail so it doesn't ever rust, and because this is all textured, invisible, ready to drill the hole. And of course, when you're all done, you can take your silicone and you can put a bead all around this fixture as well and get rid of all the unevenness. If you're gonna try to smooth this, don't use your finger, okay? Cut aluminum is actually really, really sharp. Use something else that's a straight edge. Okay, there we go, perfect. Now, this was just a demonstration. I'm not gonna punch a hole in that PVC. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you the other type, which is new construction. We're gonna do pretty much the same thing and then move forward from there. So we've been peeling back this onion and repairing and fixing as we go. In behind this, I have 7/16 OSB, and then I got a rim joist, and that dot there is where I wanna drill my hole, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to translate this line like that and like that. What I want to do is we're going to call this the top. I'll mark the backside. Top. Okay. And then I'm going to just take my tape because it's 5 inches and I'm going to mark 2.5 on all 4 sides. And the 4th side. What this does is this allows me to install this, not just perfectly square and centered. I don't have it like sitting like a diamond when I come back to do my facade. Our plan here is to finish off with a James Hardie cement board product. We'll see if that happens. I'm open to change. Sometimes, depending on time of year, especially in Canada, you know, waiting another year to get your facade on can be a real frustration. So we might opt to go to vinyl. If you have an opinion, I'd love to hear it. But what I can do is I can line up that black mark and then I can check the side and I know I have to line up that black mark. And then I go over here and I have to rotate those marks. So I'm looking all 3 of those marks when they hit, that's where it's dead square center. There we go. And a quick nail here. And okay, now she's done. Now all I gotta do is grab a 1.5 inch drill bit. Now these are from Diablo. They have an auger, goes in your drill. You set the chuck to drill. All right, and probably the 2-speed is plenty. Okay, and we're gonna go to exactly dead center of this thing. Now, to get exactly dead center, first we measure how far across it is, 7 inches, right there. 3.5 and 3.5 are 7, and now we drill. This goes really quick. Oh, okay, so we're through the PVC, now we're in the OSB. And now we're going through the rim joist. Give her a good blow, off we go. All right, got this all set up in advance. My plumber was actually here the other day. They're replumbing the entire house. If you want to learn how to open a slab and do your house, we got all those videos as well. But here's the deal. This is what we would call a 1/2 inch male threaded brass fitting with a PEX adapter on the end. We'll throw up a quick picture off the internet what that actually looks like before you install it. He crimped it for me. I was like, no, I'm gonna make a video and show people how to do all this stuff. So here we are. We just stick it in the hole. Plenty of room. Now you take a look at down here at the body. This gets pretty thick. Okay, so we need enough room to get that end in, which is why 1.5 inches is important. Don't go 1.25 inches and think you got it nailed, because 1.25 inches won't make a hole big enough to get this in. Once you put a hole in a wall, man, it is really, really hard. Why am I having so much resistance here? Here we go. There we go. Now, what we want to do here is get that Aquor picture right at the bottom, and we want to pre-drill our mounting screws through the PVC just a little bit before we get started. Pre-drilling PVC makes a lot of sense. Just the PVC. Okay, now we want to put this in again, avoiding that electrical. Here we go, and then gold. Now one more thing. Because we want to make sure that we have a guaranteed slope downward, they give you a cap, a decorative cap finish, okay, that has a built-in wedge with a gasket, all right? So what this does is it slides over top of the collar, all right? And then all these holes line up with our pilot hole, and then we can screw all this together, and when you tighten the screws, you guarantee your slope. All right, this is why you can't just stick this on a wall with vinyl siding. You don't know if you're gonna guarantee your slope. And you don't know if there's pre-existing hole for another hose bib if you have integrity in the wood around it to put screws on. Why the block is so important. I'm telling you right now, if you give yourself a good screw surface that's bigger than your faucet, even if you're using the same location for your hose bib, this is how you're going to have integrity in your installation. Feel free to throw a little tightening on that, okay? There we go. So that's what it looks like finished on the outside of the house. You got options. You go matte black, you can go with chrome, whatever. You do you. All right. Now, we're not done yet. Obviously, I still have to put some silicone over those nails. Little dab will do ya. And then we will wipe. One more thing. This is a house wrap. This is a water diversion system, okay? But there is still a possibility, for a lot of different reasons I'm not gonna jump into, the water could get behind the PVC and the house wrap, okay? So before we're done here, do very similar. Here, I'll go this way. We're gonna throw a thin bead right across here and waterproof the PVC to the house, all right? And then we're gonna go down this side as well, and a little dab over here, just like the other one, that horseshoe, that little bridge concept. There we go, all right? There we go. Now, that's great from the outside. Let me show you how to connect it from the inside. You're gonna be amazed how easy plumbing is nowadays. So you can tell from inside that we've drilled through the foam as well, and you can see that the slope is reaching up. Very important. Now, full disclosure, we just finished doing all the plumbing in the entire house, right from under the slab. So we are a brand new modern PEX, and you can see the shutoff valve these got here. It has what's called a bleeder valve, there it is. And so the concept of that being that you can take out the water from this line that's under pressure from this location. I really never did find any need for it, but hey, all you gotta do with modern plumbing is measure roughly where it is, okay? Making sure that you're not putting pressure on that pipe to bring the water level down. And then you take your PEX cutters and you press and twist at the same time. Cuts like butter. We slide ourselves a ring and we take our PEX crimpers, and this is modern plumbing, okay? Now, there are different systems out there, guys. We got crimping systems like this one. We've got another pinch system that's no good. Don't use it. It's a stainless steel ring, and we pinch the two ends together, and they are not designed for indoor plumbing anymore. They've been reduced to exterior applications only, like landscaping. We've got expansion PEX as well now. Okay, so you have a special tool, but DIYers don't need to worry about that. You don't want to pay 400 bucks for an expansion tool. This is less than 100 bucks, and you can do your own plumbing. 1/2 inch or 3/4. You stick it up there on that ring, and then when it's closed completely, you're done. That's golden. Pressurize the water line, it's 1/4 turn valve, which means there's no washers in there, so it'll never deteriorate. Okay, the reason it's running is because I've got the fitting in the faucet outside. Here we go. Now, if you're watching the video and you have questions, hey, what about my house? I have copper, then you can get a shutoff valve like this. Okay, this is a shark bite, 1/2 inch copper or PEX, goes to 1/2 inch copper or PEX. And you can update, make modifications to your plumbing, buy a short piece of the PEX pipe, boom, boom, and you're in business, okay? Have control, be your own plumber. Trades are expensive. Service calls cost a fortune. I'd rather you spend the money on updating your Hosebib than hire a plumber to come out to put on the old junk that's likely to fail. When it comes right down to it, my daughter and her fiance bought a house and brand new home. And they had a flood in their basement because when the spring came after the winter thaw, they opened up their Hosebib, which was the gasket here, but the part of this pipe that was exposed on this side, okay, it froze because they cheated and they ran all their PEX lines underneath the joist and then drilled up and out. So instead of the faucet being out like that, it was like this, and it was full of water. The water froze, boom, blew the line on the inside of the house. So when they turn the faucet on next year, thinking it's a brand new house, people know what they're doing, should be fine. They had the slope wrong. The details matter in these situations, okay? So get the slope right, use your bracket, use your block, waterproof, come on in, do your own connections, and you can upgrade your faucet and have the brand new, how should we say it, idiot-proof system to avoid having a flood in your basement. If you like these kind of videos, guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Okay, we are renovating this entire 1974 house to better than code so that you can tackle projects at your house. All right, we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.